As Genevieve and Asher's relationship reaches new depths, a mysterious witch suddenly appears and casts an unknown spell on Asher. The witch claims they have a common child. What does this mean? How will Genevieve and Asher unravel this mystery and protect their love and kingdom from threats? Join our pack. Subscribe to start your adventure. Chapter 30, to Genevieve. He can't really force us to mate, right? Malcolm might be a powerful werewolf, but there's no one that can force two people to mate. Except maybe the moon goddess. That's why girls have heat. Heat is supposed to speed up the mating process. It makes the male wolves more, for lack of a better word, needy. Heat and the mate pool are supposed to be the only two things that can affect the mating process. Another wolf shouldn't be able to force someone to mate, even if he's the head of the council. I'm not sure. Eve, Asher said quietly. He can't make us do anything. I said sternly. I'm the queen. I'm a higher rank than him. He can't just order me around. To my agent extraordinaire, Mythical Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He sees us as kids. He doesn't even see us equals. And he definitely doesn't look at you like you're higher than him, he informed me. I started tearing up at the truth. Malcolm thinks he can order us around. He won't listen to us. He'll treat us like children, and we can't stop him. I can't do this right now, I said in a wobbly voice. Tears escaped my eyes, but I ignored them. Mrs. All of this is too much. I admitted. I told Matthew about our parents. Some crazy rogues came into my home with a freaking witch and he cast some spell. I had to heal Matthew, who almost died in my arms. Then all this shit with the council. And I still have things to do after everything is sorted out. None of this ends. I don't get a break. I finish with one thing, just for something else to come up and cause more problems. Hey, Asher said softly. Everything is gonna work out. I'm not ready to mate. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I said honestly. I know. I'm not doing anything that you aren't okay with. We'll mate when you're ready. Not when some old psycho werewolf tells us to, Asher stated. You are so beautiful. Jordan gushed while looking over my shoulder and into the mirror. Today is the coronation. Today is the day that I will officially be announced as queen. I'm wearing a magenta dress with one strap on my right shoulder. The dress is tight until it reaches my waist, then it flows out. There is a strip of shiny bedazzles that is under my breasts and curves up to the strap of my dress. My locket was hanging on my neck. I finished the outfit with a pair of silver open-toe heels covered in sparkles. Knock, knock, knock. Come in. I called out as I continued to look at myself in the body mirror. Brittany poked her head through a small space in the door. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm, she stated giddily. I took a deep breath before turning away from the mirror and walking to the throne room. I stopped at the glass doors of the room. The whole room was filled with wolves. All the seats were taken up and some people stood by the walls. The council was seated at the front of the room, facing the crowd. Ryan was also at the front of the room, but he was standing in the center. I chose him to be the one to announce my coronation. Ryan nodded at me, signaling me to enter. I slowly walked into the room into the front. I stopped in front of Ryan and turned around to face the crowd. Ryan began a little speech while I scanned the room. The important people were in the front rows. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Sean, Brittany, Hope, Jordan, Matthew, and Elise were in the first row. The rest of the people in the crowd were Elphys, Lunas, and betas. There were a few thats. I recognized Brian from Ash's Peck and Alphi and from the Midnight Howlers. Luna Laney was very pregnant. I shot them a quick smile just as Ryder finished his speech. I should have listened to what he was saying, but I knew the basics already. I inhaled as much oxygen as my lungs could hold. This was the moment I've been stressing over. With great pleasure, I present to you Queen Genevieve Burke, Ryan stated as a crown was gently placed onto my head. The crowd hollered and cheered, causing a huge smile to spread across my face. I swiftly glanced at the council. Almost everyone had smiles on their faces and were clapping. Malcolm had a blank expression as he boredly slapped his hands together as a pathetic excuse for a clap. There's something about him that just isn't right. Even before he told us that we had to mate, he was giving off this strange vibe. You look gorgeous, Asha told me through the mind link. That snapped me out of my thoughts about Malcolm. I looked in the crowd and immediately spotted him. I marched up to my mate and pressed my lips to his. Cheers became louder, and wolf whistles erupted in the crowd. No pun intended. I buried my face into Asher's chest once we pulled away. He chuckled and wrapped his arms around me. Eva's the queen, Matthew exclaimed. I peeled myself away from Asher and hugged my little brother up. Your big sister is the queen, I stated proudly. Mommy and Daddy would be very happy for you, Matthew said. A few happy tears escaped my eyes before I gently kissed Matthew's forehead. The ballroom is now open, as well as the dining hall. A buffet will be set up, so you can help yourselves, Ryan announced. Sean shouted before darting out the room. Brittany laughed before following after her mate, but she stopped at the door. She turned around and walked back to me, before engulfing me in a hug. Congrats, she whispered before she disappeared from the room. What would you like to do, my queen? Asher asked. I rolled my eyes at the title. Ballroom, I suggested. Asher nodded and stuck his arm out. I locked our arms together and walked to the ballroom. The rest of the night was filled with compliments, dancing, and congratulations. Before 3 a.m. All the alphas, lunas, betas, and thirds left, leaving the council as the only people in the room. Jeanette came up to me and Asher, with the rest of the council behind her. You look so gorgeous, she complimented. Thank you, I said kindly. To my surprise, Jeanette and the council, minus Malcolm, bowed before me. We are honored to have you as our queen, Jeanette said. They all gave me small smiles as they made their way out of the castle. You have until Friday, Malcolm warned before following after the rest of the council. I am going to rip him to shreds, Ingrid growled in my head. Nothing will happen without your permission, Asher promised as he kissed my temple. I don't trust him. Referring to Malcolm, Asher nodded. Neither do I. But you can't trust me, and I will not do anything unless it's okay with you. Okay, I said quietly before dragging us both to our room. I changed into one of Asher's shirts while he stripped down to his boxers. We laid in the bed with my head against his chest. I fell asleep with a smile on my face as I listened to his heartbeat. Chapter 33. Genevieve, good morning. Hope checked. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobin, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I mumbled, going straight to the miracle drink, also known as coffee. I made my drink and sipped it, burning my mouth. Crap, I cursed as my hand flew up to my mouth. Hope laughed. Be careful, coffee is hot, she stated. I sent a glare in her direction before hopping on top of the counter. Wanna hang out today? Hope raised an eyebrow. Don't you have queen stuff? I shook my head. Nope. I'm finally free today. I stated with a smile on my face. It's Thursday, meaning the coronation was 4 days ago. This is my first day off. Lately, I've been doing paperwork, setting up patrols, and meeting a few alphas. And you want to spend your free day with me, not your mate? She questioned. Asher went back to his pack, so I can't hang out with him, I informed her. A look of confusion was etched on her face. He went alone. I slowly nodded. He left yesterday. What's with the face? Aren't you worried about Wendy? She asked hesitantly. Why does that name sound familiar? As if she was reading my mind. Hope elaborated. The redhead. Oh, I said while shaking my head. I'm not worried at all. I trust Asher. It took a while, but I completely believe him when he said that I could trust him. I know that he wanted to catch up with his pack anyway. I can't keep him here. He's an alpha. Hope simply nodded while munching on her granola bar. What are we gonna do today? A smile broke out on my face. We could watch a movie, go to the beach, or go shopping, I suggested. Hope's face wrinkled in disgust. None of those sound fun. She huffed. I rolled my eyes. What do you want to do then? Taking a sip of my warm coffee. She started chewing on her thumbnail. I noticed that it's something she does when she's thinking hard about something. Which is really often. I got it, she exclaimed. We should play with your powers, she said excitedly. Do you want me to lift trees out the ground? Or heal random people at hospital? I asked sarcastically. Hope rolled her eyes. You forgot your transportation thingy, she stated. We should mess with that power. Sounds good. I agreed. I have an idea, I exclaimed while getting off the floor. Hope and I have been experimenting with my transportation ability. So far, I can move both of us at one time, and her by herself. I can also move objects. It's pretty fun. What is it? She asked excitedly. Jacobs and Scott have patrolled together. They're on the southern side of the castle, so I transport us, and we scare them. We could scratch the wood, and growl then disappear, she suggested. I laughed. They're warriors. I don't think that they'll get scared by scratching noises, and if they do, I think I would meet new warriors. Well, what scares them? She questioned. What would scare them? Rogues might, but I am not going near one. While Hope chewed on her thumbnail again. What if we go in one of the rooms and scream help? Then when they come, we disappear and do it in another room. That might work. They would be scared for the queen. This is totally evil, but I feel like messing with them. We need a little fun in our lives. Let's go. I grabbed her hand and quickly transported us to a room on the south side of the castle that is also on the second floor. 1 point to Hope counted. 3 aha. Help. Someone help us. We shouted at the top of our lungs. I heard footsteps in Scott's voice. Queen Genevieve, he yelled. I touched Hope's arm and moved us to the first floor. Help. I yelled. I heard more running, so I transported us behind my couch. Scott and Jacobs finished running down the stairs. Then they went to the room that me and Hope were in. We quietly walked behind them while they looked around. Hope started counting with her fingers. When she reached 3, we shouted, "Duh!" Jacobs shrieked and hid behind Scott. We looked at him in shock before bursting into laughter. You scream. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. I choked out between laughs. Jacobs turned red from embarrassment. I'm guessing that you have your transportation power under control, Scott grumbled. Me and Hope smiled innocently at him. That was just mean. Jacobs huffed childishly. I swear, the people in this castle just don't grow up. Isn't he like 50 or something? Well, he's actual not that old. But he's definitely old. It was Hope's idea. I accused, pointing a finger at the girl. Hope gasped. It was your idea to scare them. She retorted. But you picked how? But. Ugh, Hope groaned. We'll get you guys back. Jacobs warned before him and Scott left the room. Let it go. Let it go. Hope and I belted out the lyrics to a Frozen song. Can't hold it back anymore. Matthew joined in. Hope and I stood on the couch and sang, while Matthew stood on the coffee table. Elise was sitting on the floor playing with some letter blocks. Come on, Elle. Sing for us. I asked Elise. With her alpha blood, she already looks 3 years old instead of a month. A smile appeared on the little girl's face. Turned away and slammed the door. She sang along. That was so cute. Hope and I gushed. We looked at each other before I shouted. You owe me a soda. Hope glared at me before actually going to the kitchen and getting me a soda. I laughed and thanked her. I sent Hope a questioning look when she backed away from me. She just smiled in return. I opened the can, and it exploded. Elise? Matthew? And Hope burst into laughter. I rolled my eyes. Very funny. Now I have to shower. You should have seen your face. Hope shouted after me. I didn't make it to my room, since guards rushed into the castle. My queen, they said before slightly bowing. Wolves have guns. We need to get you and Hope to the backyard, they stated. Get Elise and Matthew to the safe house. Let's go, I said while grabbing Hope's arm. We ran outside into the backyard, but the guards that we ran with disappeared. Hello. We called out, looking around us. Where did they go? Hope whispered. I don't know, I said as I walked back to the castle doors. I tried opening them, but they wouldn't budge. Panic filled my body. A Hope shrieked. I turned around and saw her drenched in water. What the hell? Before I was also covered in water. Duck came out of the shadows, holding their water guns. We said we would get you back, they stated with victorious smiles. You guys are so gonna pay for that, Hope said, then lunged at the guards. That's how we started chasing each other around the whole castle. Chapter 30 for Asher. You need to get here now, Brian demanded through the mind blink. I pushed my legs to move faster. I've just started running. This morning, Brian told me that I was needed at the pack. According to him, some people have started problems. I told Eve that I would be back as soon as I could, not that she would miss me. She's been too busy with her queen duties. As the only royal, she took over all the work. I got to the pack house 5 minutes later. I heard 2 women and 1 man shouting. I recognized the voices as Brian, Peyton, and Wendy. Peyton is Brian's mate. She rarely at the pack house, since her and Brian have a place together. I pulled on a pair of basketball shorts, then opened the door. The voices got louder, making me wince from all the noise. I will not follow orders from some slut, Peyton shouted. I walked into the kitchen, where World War I was about to break out. Brian was between Peyton and Wendy. Both girls were half-shifted. Their claws and canines were out as they snapped at each other. I demand respect. I'm Luna. Wendy screeched. Why did I ever like her? Her voice is so squeaky. Eve's voice is so soft, like she's singing a lullaby. Both girls growled and got ready to pounce at each other. I rolled my eyes as I stepped further into the kitchen. No one noticed my arrival because they continued to shout insults at each other. I growled in my alpha voice. They couldn't control the way their wolves shifted back into full human form. The girls glared each other over Brian's shoulders. I said enough. Peyton whimpered and bowed her head. Wendy smirked and sauntered over to me. Just like last time. Before she even had the chance to touch me, I moved away. I'm not screwing anything up this time. I love Eve, and I won't let anything change how we feel about each other. Wendy pouted. Baby, I missed you so much. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. We were over. Wendy, I told you, I found my mate. But I had you first. She whined like a child. Can you duct tape her mouth? Gavin asked. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. She had me first. We were made for each other. From the moment she was born, I was hers and she was mine. Brian and Peyton awkwardly moved away from us. Don't leave me alone with that. I begged Brian through the mind link. I've been alone with that for almost 2 months. Your turn, you replied before they disappeared. Some best friend he is. You're mine, Wendy shrieked. I've been with you all these years. That bitch, you call a mate, won't even leave what sorry pack she has to come over here. You've been leaving this pack alpha, less. I had to step up as Luna, sounding proud of herself. I forgot that she doesn't know who my mate is. Only the men in my pack know, since they fought Jacobs to bring Eve back. I asked, I demanded that they keep it secret, to protect her. Shut up, I snapped. I am not yours. You are, not Luna. My mate is Luna, and don't you dare insult her or her pack ever again, I said through gritted teeth. I pushed Gavin to the back of my mind. Wendy just insulted our mate. He wants blood. Wendy clenched her fists at her sides. She doesn't even care enough to have a Luna ceremony. I growled at her, but she didn't back down. None of this involves you. This is between me and my mate. You're just a pack member, so I suggest you stop whining before I kick you out my pack. Your pack? She asked with a humorless chuckle. You have been gone for almost 2 months. We have no Luna or Alpha. This is barely even a pack. You're crossing the line. I warned her with a growl. What are you gonna do about it? She challenged. I growled one last time, but she held her ground. Galvin pushed through and growled at her. Alpha Asher Reed, future king of the werewolves, banished Wendy Keeler from the Blue Moon pack. Galvin slowly returned to the back of my mind. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Future king of the werewolves, where did that even come from? Wendy screamed and fell to the floor. I watched wide-eyed as a branding appeared on her shoulder. A broken chain. The image was seared onto her skin. She let out another ear-splitting scream, causing everyone in the pack house to come into the kitchen, including Peyton and Brian. What did you do to me? She choked out. The pack members behind her gasped and stared at her shoulder. They must have saw the brand. That's a royal mark, Drive Nail whispered. I walked away from Wendy and closer to Drive. Nail. A what? A royal mark, he stated while examining Wendy's shoulder. The pack watched in silence while Wendy continued to cry. I haven't seen one in years. Sounding intrigued. I looked closer. The word traitor was between the broken chain. What does it mean? I questioned. It's a permanent mark, not like a mating mark. This mark tells others that she's a traitor. It's kind of like a warning. Only royals can give it out to those who betray them, Drive Nail explained. Everyone looked at Wendy in disgust. Tears poured down her cheeks as she ran out the back door and shifted. No one stopped her. She's a rogue. The room became dead silent. A female pack member stepped forward after several moments. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. A royal was on our territory. I turned around to face my pack. For those of you who don't know, I have found my true mate. I held my hand up, stopping people from cheering. Packs really like to cheer when something happens with their alpha, Luna, betas, mate, or anyone in ranks. When we met, Eve was the princess. Recently, she has been crowned as the queen of the werewolves. So that makes me the future king, I announced. So what does this mean for us? For the pack? Someone asked. I took a deep breath before answering. I will eventually take my place as king, but I am not leaving the pack. I haven't figured everything out. I just know that I will find a way to have a pack while ruling the kingdom, I explained. More questions were being shouted. Quiet, I demanded. One question at a time, please, I stated calmly. I felt like I was teaching a class of third graders. I pointed at someone with their hand up. Is the queen here? I shook my head. She had duties to take care of. Will she become Luna? That is up to Eve, I answered. I can't tell them that she'll be Luna. What I'm not sure she will be. It's not my decision to make. When will we meet the queen? I smiled at the woman's excited face. As soon as possible. I promised before calling on another person. Chapter 35 Asher. Are you guys fully mated? Peyton asked. I'm still at the pack house. Most of the pack members retired to their rooms or homes, since it's almost 9 p. And now it's just Brian, Peyton, Drive Nail, a few others, and myself. Before I had the chance to reply, my phone started playing Stay With Me by Sam Smith. Knowing that Eve was the one calling me, I have that song as her ringtone. Jordan personally changed it for me. I swiped the screen to answer the call. Hey. I rolled my eyes when I noticed Peyton and Brian focused to hear my conversation drive. Nail and the others left to give us privacy. Hi, babe. Are you coming back soon? Eve asked. I nodded, but she didn't say anything. Hello. What? You didn't say anything, I informed her. You didn't answer my question, she said slowly. Yeah, I did. I nodded. I argued. Peyton started laughing, while Brian rolled his eyes. I ignored them and focused on my phone. Eve was also laughing. What's so funny? I exclaimed. It's like they all know a joke, but I'm completely clueless. She can't see you. Dumbass, Brian stated. Peyton laughed louder, and Eve heard. Who's that? She asked seriously. Peyton, why are you jealous? Eve didn't respond before hanging up. I frowned at my blank screen. Peyton walked over to me and smacked my head. You're an idiot, she informed me. Call her back, Brian demanded. I dialed Eve's number, but it went straight to voicemail. I think she's mad, I mumbled. This time, Brian smacked the back of my head. Mind, link her. I mentally cursed myself for not thinking about that. I was relieved to find out that Eve didn't block me out. Babe, I could. Eve didn't respond, but I know she heard me. I'm sorry. Who's Peyton? Eve asked. Brian's mate, I answered. My phone started playing Eve's ringtone, and I immediately picked up. I love you, I said instantly. Peyton smiled at me while Brian mouthed. I rolled my eyes. So are you, I mouthed back. I love you, too, Eve stated high. I'm Peyton, and we are gonna be like best IES, Peyton shouted. Brian covered her mouth to muffle whatever else she was trying to say. Eve giggled. Ash, put me on speaker, she demanded. I dramatically sighed and pressed the button. You're on speakerphone, I informed her. Hi, she said sheepishly. I chuckled and Brian released his mate. Hi BFF, Peyton said. Hey Peyton, is Brian there too? Eve asked. Yeah, I'm here. Brian spoke up. How's it going? Eve, she groaned in response. I have so much work, she complained. Not that I don't love talking to you, but why did you call if you still have work? 'Cause Ingrid wouldn't shut up, she grumbled. I heard knocking through the phone. Then Eve told us to hold on. Peyton, Brian, and I silently listened to the other line. Hey, Squirt. She's probably talking to Matthew. My assumption was confirmed when Matthew spoke. I had a nightmare, he said quietly, but with my werewolf hearing, I could still hear it. That's the third nightmare this week, and it's only Wednesday. I heard shuffling before Eve talked. Do you want to talk about it? There was a pause in which I guessed Matthew was silently answering. Want me to tuck you in? She questioned. Can you sleep with me tonight? Matthew asked. Sure. Just hold on a sec, she told him. I have to go. Guys, she said through the phone. Night, Peyton and Brian said in unison. I took the phone off of speaker, then walked to my office for privacy. Baby, I said softly. Are you okay? I'm fine. Lying is a bad habit, I informed her while sitting in my desk chair. Eve sighed instead of talking. She linked me. I'm just worried about Matthew. He's been having nightmares a lot lately and he never tells me what it's about. Maybe he'll tell me. Put him on the phone. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Hello, Matthew said slowly. Hey, bud. I greeted him. Hi, Ash. Eve told me that you had another nightmare. Matthew sniffled. It was scary. Why won't you talk to Eve about it? I asked softly. There was a long pause before he spoke. I don't want to make her upset. Upset? You can tell me about it. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. But Eve is here, he whispered again. Eve can probably hear him, with werewolf hearing and whatnot. Babe, I said in the mind, link. Eve got straight to the point. Will you tell me what he says? She asked. Of course. I have to use the bathroom, I heard Eve say on the other line. There was shuffling. Then I heard a door close. Did she leave? I asked Matthew. She had to use the bathroom. Matthew informed me. Such a lame excuse. So what happened in the nightmare? Eve got taken her. Again Matthew sniffled. I saw those T to G guys. Damn. He probably replays the memory in his sleep. Don't cry, I said softly. Everything's gonna be okay. Eve is safe and you're safe, I assured him. But what if they see come back? Jacobs is such a dumbass. He just had to traumatize a little kid. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Remember how Eve said that your mom and dad are with the moon goddess? Matthew mumbled. Well, they all live in the sky, so they can watch us from up there. They'll protect you. They'll protect Eve. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Promise, I said as confidently as possible. Okay, he said quietly. Go to bed now. I told him. Good night, he said before hanging up. I put my phone on my desk and ran my hand down my face. I just lied to a kid. I made a promise that I can't keep. I have no idea if anyone can protect Matthew and Eve. They're the only royals. People will always be after them. My door slowly opened, but no one came in. I got up and walked to the door. I looked around in the hallway, but no one was in sight. I shrugged it off and went back into my office. What the hell? I exclaimed. There was a person sitting in my chair. A shadow was covering his face, but I could tell that he was male. He put his hands up, palms facing me. DTVMMOC. He's doing a spell. I lunged at him, but it was like my feet were glued to the floor. Fucking witchcraft. DTVMMOC. DTVMMOC. Why does this sound so familiar? I tried to shout for help, but my mouth was sealed shut. My mind, link wasn't working either. DTVMMOC. DTVMMOC. He chanted. He put his hands down and got up. He stayed in the shadows though. Tell the queen that he's your child, the witch demanded before he disappeared in thin air. Even though I haven't even completed the mating process, I know that she doesn't have a kid. I'm pretty sure she's a virgin. I don't have a kid either. Brian. My office. Now, I said through the mind link. A few minutes later, the door opened. Brian walked in with Peyton behind him. What's up? It's patrol outside. I questioned. Brian knitted his eyebrows together and slowly nodded why. I which just came in here and did some fucking spell. Warriors and trackers are literally surrounding this place, Peyton said. How the hell could he get past them? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nobel. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He used magic. That's how he left. He just disappeared. What spell did he do? Brian asked. I don't know. I don't speak witch. I exclaimed. Peyton rolled her eyes. Witches don't have their own language. They speak Latin, Greek, Czech. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nobel. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Or Gaelic, she informed me. Well, whatever it is, it wasn't English. I huffed. I'll get drive. Nail. Maybe he'll know, Brian said before walking out. Now I gotta deal with this witch shit. I'm gonna spend the night here. I told you through the mind link. Okay. Is everything all right? She asked. Yeah, I just have a lot to do. Okay. Good night. Good night, baby. I love you. I love you too, she said before putting up her wall. I didn't want to lie to her. But she said that she was stressed out with work, and she needs to take care of Matthew too. The least I can do is take a few things off her plate. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nobel. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Drive Mail greeted me. Please have a seat, I said to shrink to the couch. Peyton and Brian sat in the love seat drive. Mail sat on the couch, and I sat on the other side of the couch. A witch cast some spell on me, I informed him. Straightforward. His eyes went wide. What kind of spell? Peyton spoke up. We were hoping that you could tell us. Do you understand any of the languages witches speak? Drive Mail nodded. I know a few languages. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nobel. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He said DT. I racked my brain for the rest. DTVMMOC. I state DDR. Neil thought about it before speaking. It means, he said slowly. He looked confused. This is so complicated. Why would a witch give me power? He gave me his magic. Drive Nail shook his head. You would have felt it. Did he say anything else? I nodded. It doesn't make sense though. He's probably crazy. What did he say? Brian pressed. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nobel. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He said to tell Eve that he's our child. Peyton gasped. You guys have a kid that's a witch. She exclaimed. What? No, we don't have a kid. But you just said that the witch is your child, she said slowly. I shook my head and sighed. We haven't completed the mating process." The witch's exact words were, and I quote, "He's your child. He could be talking about your future offspring," Drive Nail explained. "Has Eve come across a witch?" I shook my head. "No, just a few rouges." Before I recalled the memory. Eve said that someone was with the rogues, and he was chanting. That's why it sounds so familiar. Wait, there was a witch. A few weeks ago, I told Drive Nail. The spell wasn't cast on you. If the witch went to even you, then the spell most likely is for your future child. Why would a witch cast a spell on an unborn child? I voiced my thoughts. Drive Nail shrugged. I have no idea, but until we find out, Eve cannot get pregnant. It could be dangerous. I nodded in understanding. We aren't fully mated, but we might be soon. The head of the council is keen on us mating and reproducing. I informed them. How keen? Hayton asked hesitantly. Malcolm said that he would force us. If he had to, I said quietly. Can he do that? I questioned. Drive Nail nodded. If he's head of the council, he's high in rank. Which means he has a lot of power and resources. And I can't stop him. Unfortunately not. Chapter 30, 6 Genevieve Asher finally came home around 8 p.m. It's almost 3 in the morning, meaning it's technically Friday. The day that Malcolm gave us until he takes action. Asher is sound asleep, but my nerves are keeping me awake. I've been laying here for almost an hour, unable to sleep. Honestly, I'm terrified. I'm afraid of what Malcolm will do. I'm afraid for my mate, for Matthew, for my small non-blood family, for all the people protecting me, and for the Blue Moon Pack. When word gets out that I'm their Luna, there will be a huge target on each of the pack members' backs. Obviously Jacob's group already tried, knowing that I would want to protect my pack members. When I'm officially Luna, they will be my new weakness. When Malcolm finds out that Asher and I aren't mated, he might do something crazy. I don't want anyone to get hurt. I just want everyone safe. I slowly climbed out of bed and Asher subconsciously reached out for me. He grabbed the pillow that I was laying on and cuddled with it. I spread across my face as he inhaled my scent and purred. I still don't understand why we purr. We're not cat. I quietly left Asher's room, then made my way to my office. I passed by a few guards that gave me curious looks, but didn't ask any questions. I walked into my office and sat in my desk chair. Just a few weeks ago, this was Mum's office. I looked around the room, but was still filled with all my mother's stuff. She has at least 70 books on the shelves. Framed paintings and family photos hang on the walls. To black leather love, seats, and her favorite grey rug that still has paint splatters. I remember when we made those stains. Matthew, Sean, and I were painting in the living room. The rug used to be in there. We had a paint fight, and the rug ended up getting splattered. Mum washed it, but it never came off. She ended up putting a beige one in the living room, and putting the grey rug in here. I'm not sure if she was hiding our mess or if she enjoyed the reminiscing feeling by being around it. I continued to randomly roam around the office. I sat on my mom's life's eyes teddy bear. I inhaled her faint scent of vanilla. I missed her scent so much. I miss my dad's oathy scent also. I went through the door that connected the king and queen's offices. Dad's office doesn't look as professional as my mother's. His shelves are filled with movies. He has billboards filled with random pictures. One long leather couch, a billiards table, and of course, his favorite chair. The burger chair that he wouldn't let any of us sit on. He absolutely loved that chair. I slowly sat down on the plush chair and inhaled his scent. It comforted me. I dragged the chair out his office. and into mine. I sank down in the burger chair and cuddled with the huge teddy bear. My parents' sense surrounded me. I felt safe. If someone called from outside the door, I ignored it and buried my face in the bear. The bear's fur got wet from the tears that escaped my eyes. I don't even know why I'm crying. I've always missed them, but I guess it's really getting to me now. I understand that they're not coming back, that I'll never see them in person, that they won't be here to hold me. They won't be here to guide me through how to deal with Malcolm. They won't be here for any of my ceremonies, like shown in the office as someone opened the door. I clutched tighter onto the bear and silently cried. None of this was fair. I could have killed Jacobs. I could have had his entire group slaughtered. It would have been somewhat justice for my parents, but I shown mercy. My first decision as a queen, I decided not to get revenge. I decided to hear him out. I decided to let him live. It was complicated, but now I was beginning to see how he felt. I was now in a similar situation, being forced onto another person and feeling like I didn't have control or a choice. I understood him. He understood me. He wanted a second chance. I decided to give him one. I heard the person walking towards me. They put their hand on my shoulder, causing me to tear my face away from the bear. "Why are you still awake?" Sean asked with a look of concern etched on his face. A small whimper escaped my mouth. "I miss the nest so much," I whispered. Sean sighed and wrapped his arms around my shaking form. My breaths came out in pounds, and my eyes stung from tears. "Why am I so emotional?" she said, while gently rocking us back and forth. My small whimpers became strangled sobs. My stomach dropped. My body felt like it was on fire, and I abruptly let go of Sean. His eyes flashed golden before Sean backed away from me. He didn't hold me up, so I fell to the ground. I curled up into a ball and cried my eyes out, just like I did after turning on my emotions. I'm a complete wreck. I opened my mouth, letting a loud howl escape. The sound echoed through the castle. With my wolf abilities, I was able to hear dozens of footsteps come into my office. They got louder and louder. My head was pounding. I covered my ears, but didn't do much. "Make it stop." My vision started to blur, but I could make out the shape of the door. It opened, and people were blocking the doorway. They started shouting, so I squished my head between my hands. My eyes were clamped shut. "Babe," Asher said through the mind link. I clutched my stomach and curled into a fetus position. "Make it stop." I felt someone gently rub my back, making the pain slightly bearable. "Sweetie, you're in heat," Jordan's soft voice said in my head. I took deep breaths and shook my head. "I'm not supposed to have heat," I whispered, once the pain subsided. I slowly opened my eyes and noticed that only Asher, Jordan, Ryan, and Hope were in the office with me. Asher grabbed my hand and rubbed circles on the back with his thumb. I sighed in content as Asher squatted down to hold me. The door opened, and Malcolm casually strutted in. "Cocky, little asshole. It's the end of the week." Asher got up and dropped my hand. Her growled. "What did you do to my—" Malcolm smirked. "She's just going through heat, just like every other she-wolf. She's not supposed to." The moon goddess said Hope cut herself off before revealing more information. But of course, Malcolm heard her. The moon goddess said what? Malcolm pressed, looking interested. Hope avoided his gaze, and Ryan stepped forward. "What did you do?" he said slowly. Malcolm wasn't the tiniest bit intimidated. A friend of mine helped. "Powerful," he said after pondering over the last word. "You got help from a witch." Jordan screeched. Everyone is getting help from witches these days. It's easier to have them on your side than against you. Malcolm nodded and turned to walk out the room. Just a friendly reminder, Eve needs to be impregnated with your child by the end of the month. My sweaty body was trembling on the leather couch. Jordan placed a cold towel on my forehead as Hope wiped my sweat. It's been 5 hours since my heat started. My temperature is way too high, even for a werewolf. I let out what felt like the billionth whimper. My clothes were drenched in sweat. It's too hot, I complained. Hope began to help take off my pajamas, when Jordan stopped her. Can you control yourself? She asked Asher. He looked at me with pained eyes, before gently kissing my forehead. Asher nodded at Jordan. I just want her comfortable, he said while stroking my hair. I softly purred. Just by touching me, Asher makes some of the pain go away. His touch seemed to keep me at ease. Makes sense why wolves mate during heat. It subsides the pain so easily. Hope finished unbuttoning my flannel shirt and I pulled it off my arms. I shimmied out the flannel pants, leaving me in my undergarments. Asher's eyes roamed my body and started glowing. Before losing control, he took a deep breath while closing his eyes. His blue-grey eyes stared into mine as he continued to brush my sweaty hair out my face. Jordan sighed. We need to get her temperature down, she stated. Asher nodded in understanding. How do we do that? He questioned. You need to stop touching her, Hope said softly. You're giving off body warmth. Touching her eases the pain, but it makes the temperature higher. My mate sighed, but reluctantly agreed. After kissing my forehead one last time, he moved to the wall, away from the couch. A wave of burning pain immediately started. I felt tears roll down my cheeks, and I pursed my lips to keep myself from screaming. It was like cooking bacon and having it splash on you, but it was all over my body. Damn it. Asher cursed, and began pacing back and forth next to the wall. He was losing control. I opened my mouth to tell him to calm down, but instead of words coming out, I screamed in agony. The burning got stronger and hotter. Clawing my insides out might be less painful. I think my first shift was less painful than this. Jordan's eyes clouded over, mating she's mind, linking someone. A few seconds later, Jacobs came in my office with a kiddie pool. Ryan was behind him with 3 big bags of ice. They ripped one open and poured into the inflated pool. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Put her in the pool, Hope demanded. Asher quickly picked me up bridal style. He placed me on top of the layer of ice, then Ryan poured another bag of ice on top of me. I felt the ice melting, but it was quickly replaced by the last bag of ice. Hope pressed the back of her hand on my forehead and groaned in frustration. This isn't helping, she exclaimed. Make it stop. I begged no one in particular. Asher sat in the pool with me and just held me. I sighed in content, before another wave of pain hit me, causing Asher to jump out of the pool. Tears flowed down my face as I took deep breaths, trying to lessen the pain. I whispered weakly, I just want it to go away. Jordan looked at Asher, having a silent conversation. Asher nodded, then Jordan walked out with everyone else behind her. Asher gently pressed his lips to mine, but pulled away too soon. There's only one way to make it go away, he reminded me. I nodded. I'm ready, I confessed. Asher looked skeptical. Are you sure? Don't do this just because Malcolm said we had to. I simply nodded to answer his question. I need you to be one positive. It wasn't because Malcolm was forcing us. It was partly to end my suffering. But overall, better sooner than later. What's the point in waiting? Asher is supposed to be who I'm with the rest of my life. I love you so much. I'm ready to be mated to you. Alpha Reed, I said confidently. Asher carried me out of my office and into his room. He laid me on the bed and got on top. He used his elbows to hold his weight off of me as he kissed me again. The pain of my heat was disappearing. Asher's tongue swept across my bottom lip, and I quickly granted him entrance. He pulled away, breathless. I watched as his eyes took in every inch of my body. This suddenly felt unfair. I was wearing undergarments, but he was still fully dressed. I reached for the hem of his shirt, and Asher helped me pull it off. I threw it somewhere to the right side of the room as he bent back down to kiss me. Asher rested his hands on my waist, while my hands roamed around his body. Without breaking the kiss, I tugged on the waistband of his sweatpants, and he swiftly took them off. I pulled away for air, but Asher continued. He trailed kisses down my jaw onto my mark. He lightly kissed around it, before swiping his tongue on my skin. I let out a moan, and felt his excitement on my thigh. I abruptly moved away, and Asher gave me a concerned look. I caught my breath before speaking. Do you have protection? I asked while blushing. Asher chuckled and nodded. He pulled the square package out of the nightstand and ripped it open. This is gonna hurt, Asher said softly. I know, I whispered. I love you more than life. No details. The only important thing is that we became fully mated. Chapter 37, Genevieve. Sunlight seeped through the window, interrupting my peaceful sleep. I opened my eyes and blinked a few times to adjust to the brightness. I looked around the room. Clothes was scattered on the floor. A lamp was knocked off the nightstand. Asher was sound asleep next to me. I gently brushed his hair out of his face, careful not to waken. He looked so innocent. Not so innocent after what we did last night. I watched as his chest moved up and down with his steady breaths. My eyes wandered lower, to not so, little Asher Jr. I blushed fiercely and pulled the blanket up to cover it. I know it wasn't his first time, but it was mine, and it was not like the movies. The events of yesterday came back to me, having my heat, then completing the mating process. We stayed in his room all day. I honestly couldn't keep my hands off him, but he didn't protest to my actions. I cringed, realizing how needy I was, but at least it was fun. I was insanely awkward. I remembered laughing a lot. It was easy with him. Even if I was nervous, he seemed to ease all my worries and insecurities. He also wasn't lying about it hurting. On the brighter side, I'm fully mated to Asher Reed. The thought caused a smile to form on my face. I snatched it from the bedpost and pulled it over my head. I ignored the soreness from last night. I swung my legs off the bed and stood up. I took one shaky step while clutching the nightstand for support. I debated whether or not to wake up Asher. I should shower first, though. I took another step before my legs gave out. I fell to the floor. Damn it. I slapped a hand over my mouth, but it was too late. Asher jumped out of bed and was at my side. What happened? He asked while scanning my body for injuries. He crept up to my face, and I covered my eyes with my hands. Don't look at it, babe. Asher asked, concerned. I took a deep breath before moving my hands. I looked everywhere except at Asher. Can you put on pants? I asked sheepishly. A chuckle escaped his lips before he pulled on a pair of grey sweats. Asher walked back over to me and gently pulled me up to stand. Why were you on the floor? I fell, I mumbled. My legs were shaking, so I grabbed Asher's arm to keep myself standing. Asher put his hands on my waist and looked at me concerned. What's wrong? I motioned to my lower body. But Asher got confused. I answered quietly. He said it would hurt, and I knew I would be sore. But I didn't know my legs would forget how to work. He sighed and gently kissed me. He rested his forehead against mine. I'm sorry. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Milburn, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Making his hot breath blow against my lips. What for? I asked, confused. Did he regret last night? Was I doing something wrong last night? He probably doesn't want to be with me. Sadness washed over me at the thought of Asher leaving me. Do you regret it? I voiced my thoughts. Asher suddenly moved his head away and cupped my face in his hands. I would never regret last night. He assured me. I love you so much and I'm never leaving. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Milburn, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. You actually do have to leave, I argued while prying his hands away from my face. You have a life with your pack. All your friends are there. He's been here for almost 3 months, leaving his pack without their alpha. Leaving Brian without his best friend. He dropped everything just for me. He went back a couple days here and there, but that's no way to be an alpha. He can't lead his pack from here. He can't protect them. Asher shook his head. You're my life. You're my family. Selfishly, his words immediately made a smile spread across my face. Why would you even think that I would regret mating with you? He questioned a few moments later. I don't know. I mumbled. I watched as his eyes glazed over. Then his face lit up with the biggest smile I've ever seen. What's going on? I questioned. He awkwardly rubbed the back of his neck. Asher started. T8, the P pack. He cleared his throat. My pack felt us mate, and they want to meet their Luna, he explained more confidently. Meeting the pack. That means I'll probably have the Luna ceremony too. What if they don't accept me? They could reject me as their Luna, just like Asher had. What about Wendy? She could have been telling them anything. They'll love us, Ingrid assured me, but she didn't sound so sure. I mean, they have to, right? We're the destined Luna. Packs are supposed to love their Luna. It's natural instinct to love and protect us, she ranted Eve. Asher asked, snapping me from my conversation with Ingrid. I hesitantly backed out of his arms, until my legs hit the bed. I ignored the soreness, and just sat on the bed. I took away their alpha. There's no way that they could respect me after that. Lunas are supposed to care for the pack. They're the mother figure. I did the opposite. I left the pack alone. I took away their leader. I left them defenseless. Asher knelt down in front of me and placed his hands on my bare thighs. Baby, he asked softly, what if they hate me? I whispered. Asher tilted his head in confusion. I'm weak. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Milburn, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I went in a coma just because I saw some dead bodies. I'm selfish. I turned off my emotions. I can't take care of a pack. When I can't even take care of myself, I cried out. Asher's hands engulfed my own as he gently pressed his lips to my skin. Being in a coma doesn't make you weak. You made it out of the coma. You survived. You found the strength to turn back on your emotions not for yourself, but for Matthew. You've been doing such an amazing job with the kid. If you can be responsible for a 6-year-old boy, then you can take care of the pack. You have such a kind heart. No one in their right mind would give away the second chances that you had. Life has been complicated for you. They understand. While giving me a small smile. They won't hate you, in fact. They already love you. Asher stated. They do. I asked hopefully. Asher nodded. We spent hours just talking about you. Everyone is so excited to meet you. Everyone. What about Wendy? I asked quietly. It's still a soft subject, but I can't go without knowing what's waiting for me there. What has she been saying? I heard Asher intake a sharp breath. Something happened while I was there. I nodded for him to continue. Wendy kept calling herself Luna, and she was being disrespectful to me, and to you. I banished her from my pack. She went rogue. I inquired. She didn't exactly have a choice, he said quietly, almost as if he was embarrassed. When I banished her, I might have. I gave her a royal mark. But it came out as a question. A royal mark. I shrugged in response. Okay, so she's gone. She's gone. Asher confirmed. Why are you so calm about this? Looking curious. About the mark. Which Asher nodded to answer. The mark isn't something you can freely give out. The moon goddess made it, so it can only be given to those who have actually done wrong by the royals. I explained. It was in one of Mom's books that I read. Asher sighed in relief. So I didn't just abuse my power or anything. Nope, I said, popping the pea. All seriousness just flew out the window, and we were in a comfortable silence. Until Asher picks me off the bed, causing me to squeal. What are you doing? I questioned as he started walking. Are you still sore? I blushed and nodded into his chest. I bounced a little, indicating that he was still walking. Asher slowly set me down, and I pulled my face out of his torso. We were in his bathroom. He moved away from the counter and started running the water. As the tub filled with water, Asher wrapped his arms around me. I'm sorry, he mumbled. Down, Deja. I moved my arms from between us to hug him back. Why? Asked quietly. I should have been more gentle. You're hurt because of me, he said in a strained voice. I pulled away to give him a quick kiss. It was my first time. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nelben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing enthusiasm. It would have hurt either way. It's not your fault. Asher chuckled, making me give him a confused and questioning look. It seems like it was yesterday that we were fighting about whose fault it was that you got the pain. He stopped the water before it overflowed. I let him take his shirt off of me. Then he picked me up again. We've come a long way since then. I noted. He nodded and lowered me into the warm water. Thanks, I whispered. Asher sent me his hard, warming smile. I love you. I love you too. Before he walked out the bathroom, I stopped him. I'm free today. If you want, we can go to your pack. He quickly nodded our. We can go to our pack. He corrected me before leaving me to bathe. But I want you to stay here, Matthew said as his bottom lip started trembling. I just told him that Asher and I are leaving for a few days. Needless to say, he's not taking it well. I bent down so we were face to face. It's only a few days. Just a little vacation. We'll be back soon. Squirt, I assured him. Matthew slowly nodded before throwing his small arms around my neck. Love you, he muttered in my ear. I love you too, I said while giving him a tiny squeeze. I slowly pulled away and made my way out the castle. Asher didn't want to teleport because it was taking advantage of my abilities, so we running. Good, Asher asked when I came beside him. I nodded and went behind a tree to strip and shift. I grabbed my duffel bag between my teeth and walked out from behind the trees. Asher shifted, showing off his beautiful wolf. His eyes were bright blue. His fur was raven black, just like every other alpha wolf. I gently nudged his side with my head and nodded towards the forest. You're so beautiful, Asher complimented through the mind link. I sent to Wolfie, grin his way before we started running to our pack house. I followed Asher as he skillfully ducked under branches and jumped over the fallen rays. I knew he wasn't going his full speed, and Ingrid was anxious to meet our pack. We needed to run. "Babe," I cooed in our heads. Asher slowed down to a prance. He looked around for danger and walked stiffly. "What's wrong?" Still scanning our surroundings. I brushed beside him and licked his face to loosen the tension in his body. "I would have run to my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." We were running. Asher responded in a dull tone and began to walk again. I rolled my wolf eyes and fell in step next to him. "You're holding back." "I want to actually run." "How do you know that I'm holding back?" We were going pretty fast. "If that's your full speed, then you're a pretty slow alpha." Asher stopped walking. "You just deflated his big ego," Ingrid commented in my head. I snickered. Asher stalked towards me. "That's race." I tilted my head in confusion. "I don't even know which way to go." "It's a few miles straight ahead," he stated while nodding forward. I nodded and we stood next to each other. Asher started counting down. 1, 2. We both took off running. We were head to head until I saw the faint outline of the mansion. There is no way that I could speed up. We don't have to. "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm," Ingrid said. I mentally slapped myself. Asher didn't say anything about using my powers. I saw a tree root up ahead. I focused on it, and when we ran by, it wrapped itself around Asher's ankle. "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." Asher mumbled in the mind, "Link." I grinned and continued to run. Asher easily caught up with me and sped up so he was winning. Before getting a different idea, I stopped running and focused on the pack house. Within seconds, I was at the forest lining. I saw Asher still running through the trees, and I smirked. I went behind a tree and quickly shifted and changed. I finished just as Asher came out of the forest. He shifted and grabbed a pair of shorts from behind a tree. "Not fair." "You use your powers," he huffed. I playfully rolled my eyes. "You never said I couldn't," I retorted. Asher sighed in defeat before wrapping his arm around my shoulders, while holding both our bags in one hand. "I can hold my bag." "You know." "I know you can." "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." "I just don't want you to get hurt." I stopped walking, causing him to stop too. "Me get hurt from holding a bag?" "A bag full of clothes," I questioned while raising an eyebrow. Asher moved his arm off my shoulders to rub his neck. "It's just that." "Are you were?" "I'm sore." "And I didn't want to make it worse," he stuttered. I chuckled and shook my head. "I'm fine. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." And it was my legs that hurt, not my arms. We were just running. I was completely okay. Stopped worrying about it. The bath helped, I assured him. We walked up the porch and entered the silent mansion. It was still the same as I remember from a few months ago. "Hello." Asher called out Ash. A girl squealed. Her black hair swayed as she ran to my mate and jumped on him. Asher easily caught her. He spun the girl around as she wrapped her arms around his neck. I couldn't help the pang of jealousy that went through me, but I reminded myself that Asher has friends. I can't be jealous of everyone, and at least it wasn't Twenty. "I missed you so much," Asher mumbled in her hair. I awkwardly stood to the side as Asher and the girl embraced each other. I pushed the jealousy to the back of my mind, trying to ignore it. The girl saw me from over Asher's shoulder. She lowly whispered something in his ear that made him put her down. Asher turned to face me and gave me a kiss that melted all of the jealousy. "Babe, this is my sister Belle. Belle, this is my mate Eve." Asher introduced us. "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." They're siblings. I blushed from embarrassment. Belle squealed, then wrapped her arms around my waist. I froze for a few moments before awkwardly hugging her back. She pulled away and studied me with bright green eyes. She honestly looks nothing like Asher, but she's cute, stunning, actually. "I've always wanted a sister." She shrieked and happily bounced up and down. "But I thought we were sisters," a familiar voice yelled from upstairs. A girl with dark brown hair came into the room with bright railing behind her Eve. She shouted before tackling me in yet another awkward hug. "She's Brian's mate." "Crap, what's her name?" "That's Peyton." Asher's voice rang in my head. I quickly thanked him. "Hey, Peyton." I greeted her. She pulled away, and I noticed that Brian and Asher disappeared from the room. "The ceremony is tonight," Peyton said excitedly. "I'm actually excited for the ceremony." And Ingrid was prancing around in my head like a unicorn on drugs. "What are you gonna wear?" Belle chirped. I didn't bring a dress. Belle and Peyton shared a look before hopping up and down. Shopping time. Well, they have the energy of a 6-year-old on a sugar high. Just my luck. Don't let the story end. Subscribe to continue our Wolfpack legend.